All right, guys, should I shoot? So, using deadly force, obviously, it's a big deal. Hopefully, you took the legalities portion of the level 0 training. But just to dive down into this a little bit further, we have this use of force continuum, and this is what the USCCA likes to build their model off of. I like some of it, but let's just check it out. So, no force, retreat, or de escalate. So in order, this is like where we're starting off at, and then these are what you should be doing in order to have justified use of deadly force, and then this is the consequences of if you do not. And so basically, if you expose your firearm, the question, of course, always going to be, is it reasonable force or not? We'll talk about that here in just a second. Reasonable fear or threat against you, yourself, or another person. Well, there you go. And then any force used must be reasonable to the circumstances. And if you don't, misdemeanor or gross misdemeanor assault, terroristic threats, brandishing a firearm. In the state of Illinois, there is no brandishing a firearm. It's aggravated use of a deadly weapon. So that's just something to keep in mind for my Illinois residents. Other states, definitely check out your USCCA app. If you're a member of Lethal U, download it. And it's the reciprocity map, USCCA reciprocity map. Try to put a link in the classroom. But point is that why are you pulling your gun out on somebody? Are you in an argument with them, or is it legitimately like somebody's creeping up on you at nighttime in an inappropriate place, like a parking lot or an alleyway or in a stairwell or something like that? You draw a weapon on them and be like ready to use it because you really think that this person might truly be getting ready to attack you. It's like, what the fuck? All right, so you pointed at them. Felony assault, attempted murder in some states. If you pointed at somebody, I think it's... I forget what it is. Oh, that makes it a lot... Well, what just happened? That makes it a lot easier to read. And then if you shoot someone or if you shoot someone and kill them, you have to have reasonable belief that you're in imminent fear of death or great bodily harm to yourself or another person. I know that says immediate, but I say imminent because Illinois state law. Must be an innocent party. You didn't start it. If you get in an argument and then it results in a shooting, guys, you're really entering a very dangerous gray zone. No lesser force is sufficient or available to stop the threat. See, this is the stuff that I kind of don't necessarily agree with the USCCA on, because they're going to give you this very broad, very specific perspective on their take of things. And that's not to say that it's wrong by any means whatsoever. I happen to be more aggressive in my approach to confronting violence and violent crime, and so no lesser force is sufficient or available to stop the threat. Yeah, some states, USCC is giving you the whole national strategic viewpoint, right? Some states do actually require hey, did you carry mace with you or a taser, or did you attempt to de-escalate or something like that? These are questions that if you don't have a good lawyer, you're going to get asked and possibly answer wrong. Must have no reasonable means of retreat or escape. That's not necessarily always true. Now, if you can get out of there, then yeah, I highly encourage you to get the hell out of there. But some states are duty to retreat, others are not. Illinois is not a duty to retreat state. It's also not a stand your ground state. Something to just be aware of is that you do not have a legal obligation to try to retreat in Illinois. Other states, I think maybe Delaware or something, you do, probably heavily Democratic run states, Democrat Party. But you don't necessarily have to have no reasonable means of retreat or escape. I mean, reasonable, though, is a very subjective word, and they use that on purpose in the law, and I'm sure they're using it on purpose here. So basically just, are you doing you, being with your family, and then now you immediately believe less than 10 seconds there's great threat to you, your loved one, somebody else, great bodily harm, trip to the hospital, or just beat up pretty badly, and ruining your day, and death, where it's like carjacking, gun pointed at you or something like that. You're justified all the way over here. But I highly recommend, if you're not already, you're a member of Lethal U, so that way you get legal coverage just in case you never know what kind of weirdness takes place. So it's up to you. Totally your choice. Now, what is deadly force? Well, Illinois law, I don't know if any other ones do, but Illinois law doesn't necessarily state deadly force. What it says is self-defense, which is intended or likely to cause death or great bodily injury. And I summarize that by calling it deadly force. And so that's what it is. Using deadly force is using self-defense, which is intended or likely to cause death or great bodily harm to the offending party, to the bad guy. That is deadly force. Now, how can we properly use deadly force? Well, ask yourself a question. Where do you think it's better to shoot somebody? To aim in the head, like in the face, or in the center of the body in a self-defense situation? The answer is the body. In a self-defense situation, and if you're not highly skilled and highly trained, and even then a highly skilled, highly trained person probably is going to go for the body anyways, especially since most concealed carry engagements take place less than, or they at least start off less than 5 feet from one another. Yeah, you're going to want to be shooting that body. Now, there are times where you absolutely must, without a doubt, get a face shot in, and that is your only choice. Worst case scenario, probably worst day of your life, but people do get taken hostage. I was watching this video of a mom and her 4-year-old, 5-year-old little girl. They're at a grocery store. The mom's putting fruit in a bag or something. The kid's literally right behind her in the seat in the shopping cart, and some random lunatic madman just comes up and grabs her, like he's walking down the aisles, turns, sees her, grabs her, and then has a knife like at her throat. And the mom just turned around and was like, what the fuck? Like, imagine being at the grocery store and you're looking at fucking watermelons or avocados, and then all of a sudden you just turn around because you hear a small commotion and some fucking psycho's got your child with a knife to your kid's throat or your grandkid's throat. In that type of a situation, ladies and gents, you shoot them in the face, plain and simple. That is a face shot. But let's be a little bit more specific about where it is we're trying to place these shots. So this is called the T-box, and if you look up here, you will also see it as well. Here's the nose, here's the T-box. The T-box really runs underneath the eyebrows and like basically to the edges of your eye, and then above the bottom of the eye socket, and then right here through the middle and the bottom of the nose, right above where the teeth and the gums begin. So the reason why is because it's all soft tissue right here. There is nothing. Like, a bullet can reflect off of your dome, it can reflect off of your cheek, your teeth, your chin. I've seen all of that happen, and you don't want that to happen if you're trying to stop a bad guy. Sure, it definitely could temporarily stop them. You shoot somebody in the head at point blank range, but just say, man, crazy stuff happens when it comes to gunfights. Now, why aim center mass or in the pelvic girdle even? Like, let's say you're up close and the confrontation is getting into a hand-to-hand fisticuffs type thing. Here you have all these vital organs, right? And there'll be another video in this section that talks about the effects of being shot and wounded in particular areas of the body. And we'll have to talk about what to do if you ever are wounded there. But you put multiple shots, 5, 6 shots, 7 shots, center mass right here in this nice little or highly vascular area, then that dude or that chick, they're going to go down pretty hard. If you're up close and you can't get the gun all the way up to that area, like let's say you have to draw and you're shooting from down low, then putting multiple shots into the pelvic girdle, oof. Think about your hip just exploding. You get 3 shots, 1, 2, 3 in the pelvic girdle, and they're just going to be liquefied in the hips. Lots of internal bleeding. Lots of fragmentation. Kidneys are down here. Kidneys are up there. Just a lot of lower intestine down here. But that'll leak out, and you can get all sorts of secondary infection. Just the bones breaking, though, and the femurs, too, especially where they're at. That'll be a really, really crazy experience for that bad guy. So that's when you use deadly force in the event, that you do get into it. My attorney, Dave, he says that if somebody's with you, have them call 911, say, hey, this is my name, I'm wearing these clothes, I'm at this location, I was just the victim of a violent crime, I need you to send police and an ambulance. And I've heard mixed things. Some people say order 2 ambulances, some people say just order 1. Dave says to order 1 because that's more official reports that are going to get written on you. And ultimately, you don't want to go to the hospital. You don't want to go to the ambulance because if they draw blood and you have some medication or we're drinking the night before or something, there's always some weird stretch that can be pulled if you start giving up information. Matter of fact, he's even said, hey, just don't even stay there. Get out of there. Say where the incident happened, and then say you're going to your attorney's office, and then leave. Because there's no crime against leaving the scene of a shooting in the state of Illinois, at least. So new things to just think about. Hey, like, you don't have to stay there, man. Get out of there. Call the police. Give them that information. Call your attorney. Start heading over to your attorney's office or wherever he tells you to meet them. You know, you do not want to go to jail, guys. The moment you are in jail, you are gotten. And I'll tell you this, in SERE school, Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape School, where they kidnap you and they beat you up or torture you or whatever, 1,000 days of evasion is better than 1 day of capture. And that phrase has never rung more true than when I went through that course. And I really realized why it was like the phrase, the motto of that course, is because, man, when you lose control of your own time and your own efforts and your own pace, your own routine, your own day, it's the worst thing in the world. Literally sitting on your ass for 12 hours could be one of the most absolutely painful, excruciating experiences ever. And yet, it's just sitting on your ass. And so do not get caught. Do not go to jail. When you do that, you are now on their time. I'm not saying to run from the cops if they're there on scene. I'm not saying any of that craziness. But what I am saying is that if you get in a self-defense shooting, and there's no immediate police there, there's no reason for you to stay there, it's only dangerous for you to do so, I would get out of there. That's my recommendation. That's my lawyer's recommendation. And so, yeah, make sure you don't. And also, before 911 actually picks up, they're recording already. It's something weird about during the rings, they start recording. So just be aware of all that stuff. Emotional, financial aftermath. Yeah, it sucks, man. My cousin got in a shoving match, or not my cousin, but my brother-in-law's cousin got in a shoving match. Some guy came up to him, shoved him at a gas station. They started tussling back and forth. He's a bigger dude. Shirt gets pulled up. His licensed concealed carry weapon became exposed. The assaulter, the guy who came up to him, pushed him, started saying, oh, he's going to shoot us. He's going to shoot everybody. The cops get called. They arrest my brother-in-law's cousin, throw him in jail, and he let his coverage lapse, his USCCA membership and coverage lapse by 2 or 3 months, if I remember correctly. And it cost him $45,000 just to get Dave McDermott down there. $45,000 just to pick up his file, head to the jail. He had to post his own bail because we still had bail at that time, which now we don't, which is way worse because now you could be held in there until your trial is over if you don't have a good attorney to make that case for you. Like when you get arrested, the book to go stand in front of the judge, and the prosecution can say, we got to keep this person locked up until their trial is over. You know, in that case with my brother-in-law's cousin, that could have been like 4 or 5 years. With a murder trial, with a homicide trial, it's like 7 to 10 years in the state of Illinois before it begins, and then lasts about, I think, 2 years on average, if I'm not mistaken on that. And of course, the legalities portion, back in the level 0 handgun stuff, that's all covered in that interview with Dave and I. But the point is that was $45,000, $650 an hour after that, just for Dave to go to the gas station and pull the footage from the camera and see that he was totally innocent. He was the victim. He had to buy his own new gun because they C&D everything, or maybe they gave him back his gun. I'm not too sure. They might have done that because it was Cicero. But point is that he spent like $100,000, $115,000 when all this stuff was said and done. All the time is from work, which you would have gotten missed compensation pay, record expungement now because he's been charged with, I think, aggravated use of a deadly weapon. So now you got to get that expunged, especially because he's a CDO driver. I mean, there's just so many issues that come along with just not having the insurance coverage that you can't have absolute certainty without it. And that's why we offer it here at JM Training and the Lethality Universities, because I want you to have absolute certainty. I'll be damned if I train somebody and they get to say they train with me all the time, but then they end up getting hurt or killed, or somebody else they love gets hurt or killed because they hesitated, because they didn't do what they should have had confidence in doing to begin with. They've had the training, but they didn't have the certainty. I ain't going to let that happen. So that's why legalities is really important to me. Ask yourself, guys, before you use deadly force, I love this little illustration. Would you jump in a shark tank for it? So if you dropped your watch and it was in a shark tank with this psycho shark, would you jump into that tank, almost but guarantee be shredded alive by those big ass teeth? Almost, there's a chance you'll survive. But would you jump into that shark tank with this vicious psycho ass shark for a watch? Maybe you would, probably not very smart of you to do that. I get if it's like your grandfather's or something like that, but just generally speaking, any item, any object, any tangible thing that you drop in there that's not a human, would you jump in? Now, same scenario. Would you jump into that shark tank if your baby was in there? Fuck yeah, I would, man. I would jump in there. I would toss that baby out, knowing I'm gonna go back into that shark's mouth and I'm gonna get eaten. So that baby, somebody hopefully catches him, and even if they don't, he falls back in the water. The shark's gonna be too busy ripping my ass to shreds and pieces to kill my son or one of my sons. I mean, fuck yeah, I'm gonna jump in. I will fucking fight that shark. I don't give a fuck. I wonder how much. I wonder how hard it would be to hold a shark's mouth open. Stab that fucker right in the eye. Rip his nose out. I'm doing something, man. Anyways, that's my point, is that if you would jump in a Shark Tank for whatever's taking place in the situation, whatever's life is at risk or great bodily harm is at risk, if you would jump in a Shark Tank for that person, because it's always about people, it's never about property, but we could definitely be hurt as people in the process of being robbed from property, so don't get it twisted. Armed robbery is absolutely 100% justified, in Illinois at least. But if you would jump in a Shark Tank for it or not, that's when you know you should use deadly force for it or not. Would I use deadly force for my kids? Yes. Would I use deadly force for my Garmin watch? No. No way. But if I had a gun being pointed at my face for my Garmin watch, well, I don't know if they're going to shoot me or not shoot me when they say I got a Garmin watch. I'd be like, this is bullshit. Maybe pistol whip my kid or my wife, or shoot my kid or my wife. So, you've got to know how to make that delineation, guys, very quickly. Ultimately, the best thing is to be a hard target, never really put yourself in that situation. But sometimes you just get got, and that just is the way that life works. Sometimes a plane engine falls out of the sky and literally lands on your fucking house and kills your kid while he's sleeping. So that's just the realities of life. You can never always be prepared. You can be prepared for the vast majority of situations. You can be educated and trained and have confidence that you're covered if something weird does go down, but it probably won't anyways, because the way that you perform and the way you think and your mindset and everything is on point, guys. That's so important to have mindset on point when it comes to utilizing deadly force. You're not going to want to do it. It's going to suck. It's going to ruin your day. It's going to be freaking lame. You might go to jail, and I can only imagine that's such a miserable experience here in the stateside. So just remember, would I jump in a Shark Tank for whatever is at risk right now? And that's it.